Hey guys, we're going to continue with Unit 6 Polynomial Operations. Today we're looking at multiplying binomials. Let's get started. Alright, so like I said, it's multiplying. Here it says polynomials, but specifically we're looking at binomials. Remember, binomials means two. Alright, as a quick refresher, let's go over what multiplication looks like when it has to do with exponents. Remember, anything raised to a power means that you're multiplying it that many times by itself. So for example, here, we're multiplying 4 3 times. When we're multiplying the same basis with exponents, remember all you do is add the exponent. So 2 plus 3 here gave me 5. So which is my exponent rule. Numbers with the same base get multiplied. You add the exponents. All right, so let's have a quick refresher on what we did last time. Remember last time we took the number on the outside, in this case my variable or my term, and I multiply it to every term on the inside. So x times x, which is x to the first power times x to the first power. All we do is add the exponents and we get x squared. And then we took the same term and multiplied it to the other term inside the parentheses, which is just positive 4x. So now we're doing the same thing, but now we're taking binomials. Two terms. So we have the binomial x minus 5, and we also have the binomial 2x plus 1. Let me back it up. So here we made sure the term on the outside got multiplied to every term on the inside. We're doing the same thing here. We're making sure every term on the left gets multiplied to every term on the right. So that means this binomial is going to be multiplied with everything on this binomial. So my x has to be multiplied with the 2x. But at the same time, that x term has to be multiplied with that 1 at the end. So moving on to the second term, that negative 5 has to be multiplied with the 2x. And again, at the same time, that negative 5 has to be multiplied with the 1. If I go through and do that, x times 2x is 2x squared. X times 1 is positive 1x. Negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. And negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. So notice when I was setting it up right here, it looks like it almost creates a box. I'm going to show you two different methods of doing this. You could do it this method right here, but I'm going to show you two other ways of doing it. One is known as the box method. So this box method is similar to the Punnett square that you see in biology. But in math, when we put two variables or two things right next to each other, remember that means multiplication. So I'm going to take my first binomial and I'm going to set it up. Notice I set it up by splitting up the terms. And I take my second binomial and I set it up as well, and I split up those terms on the side of the box. Okay, so now I take these two terms, and I'm going to put them right next to each other. In other words, in math, that means multiply. So that's 2x times x. When I do that, I get 2x squared. Now I'm going to fill out the top right of the box. So that's 2x and negative 5. Put them right next to each other. That means multiply. 2x times negative 5, and I get negative 10x. Now I'm going to take positive 1 and x. Put those right next to each other. Multiply. So 1 times x, and I get 1x. And the last box I'm going to fill out with just the two constants. Put those right next to each other. 1 and negative 5, which means multiply. So 1 times negative 5, and I get negative 5. So notice these numbers are the exact same numbers I got over here, because I'm doing exactly the same thing I set up over here inside my box. This is just a method of setting it up so you can easily organize your math. So now I take that first term, the top left of the box, and I'm going to write that at the very beginning. And I'm going to take the bottom right of the box, and I'm going to write that at the end. So I'm framing what my problem looks like because I want it in standard form. Standard form means the highest degree first, and then all your constants go at the end. So I know that for sure is always going to go at the beginning and at the end. As far as what fills up the middle, I'm just going to take those two middle terms that are right there in the diagonal of the box, and I'm going to drop them down to fill in the middle of my polynomial. Now notice there's a strange gap here. Everything else has a sign in between it, that minus sign. So when you have no sign, make sure you put a plus sign. You can't just leave it blank. It is a positive 1, so we're going to put a plus. And just like we did last lesson, we're going to combine my like terms here. So that's negative 10 and 1x, and we get negative 9x. And at the very end, just drop what you have left. So my answer when I multiply these binomials is 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. So the other method I call Charlie's Smile method, which is just distributing. So it's like we've seen the little arrows going from one to the other, but it makes sort of a smile, if you will. So we start off with making Charlie's left eyebrow. So that's x multiplied to 2x, and we get 2x squared. Then we make his right eyebrow, which is negative 5 times positive 1, and we get negative 5. So I'm framing the outside of the face just like I did before. I have my first term, and my last term. Okay? So now I go to the middle of your face. And what do you have in the middle of the face? You have your nose. So we're going to go to his nose, which is the negative 5 times 2x. And negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. And last, we're going to make his big old smile from ear to ear. We go from x to positive 1, and we get 1x. Again, notice we have this gap right here. That's where my plus sign is going to go. So there we have the polynomial set up much like what we saw before. And we're going to combine my like terms. So once you combine your like terms, you get negative 9x. And then you just drop down what you have left over. So multiplying two binomials, this is a different method. 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. Same answer, same results, different process. Okay. Sometimes you might hear this referred to as FOIL, where the F stands for the first terms getting multiplied, then the outside terms getting multiplied, then the inside terms getting multiplied, and the last terms that are left over to be multiplied. Same idea, same results. Okay, so now you get to try one on your own. All right, so now we're moving on to multiplying binomials with trinomials. So a 2 by 3. Here we have a binomial, m plus 3. And our trinomial is going to be m squared minus 2m plus 2. So my binomial, 2 terms, times my trinomial with 3 terms. Just like before, I want to make sure everything in my binomial gets multiplied to everything in my trinomial. So that means m and m squared, m and negative 2m, m and positive 2. So m went to everything in the trinomial. So now to make sure the same for 3 into the trinomial. So 3 with m squared, 3 with negative 2m, and 3 with 2. Again, this is a perfectly good method if you understand this and just want to write it out this way. But like I said, this kind of looks pretty much like the box, just without the box. For these, I definitely suggest using the box just because drawing so many arches can get complicated and confusing very quickly. So the box keeps it a little more organized for you. If the box is just too much to do, try doing this on the side. So here's my box. I'm going to take my binomial and line it up on the 2 side, and my trinomial and line it up on the top. Okay, so what's the number that goes into your first box? You should get m to the 3rd power. This is m to the 1st power, and m to the 2nd power. Remember, you add the exponent, so 1 plus 2 is 3. What goes in my next box? You should get negative 2m squared. your last box on top, you should get 2m. So now let's move on to the bottom row. What goes in the bottom row first box? You should get 3m squared. What goes in the bottom row middle box? You should get negative 6m. And what goes in the bottom row, the last box? You should get 6. Okay, so just like before, in standard form, I want the variable with the highest exponent first. So notice 3 is my highest exponent, so that's going to go first when I write out my polynomial. And then I want my constant, meaning the number without the variable, to go at the end. So that 6 is going to go at the very end. Now to fill in the middle, I could write them all out and then combine like terms, but I could also go ahead and see, oh, here are my like terms. Let me go ahead and add those. And I get m squared. Or 1m squared, whatever it is that you got. Same thing, remember that one is irrelevant. Then I see I have another set of like terms right there, negative 6m and 2m. And I can go ahead and add those two and get my next term, which is negative 4m. So notice the gaps we have. We have a gap right here because there is no sign. This is a sign, even though I spread them apart, there is a sign of a minus. And we have no sign here. So I'm going to fill in where I have no signs with addition. So here's your answer for multiplying my binomial by my trinomial. Okay. I know this was a quick video. We'll get a lot more practice in class. But you're going to write a 2 to 3 sentence summary or reflection. Okay, that is it. Make sure you took notes. And I'll see you next time in class.